What's up? I was about to do another pod and I just jumped on here to do this one because something just happened. Dave Chappelle was just attacked, so I'm going to react to it. It's breaking as we're having it. If this is true, this is like, it's getting weird. So I just read that Dave Chappelle was attacked. He was doing the Netflix. I'll just read what ABC wrote. This is from ABC News 7. It says, comedian Dave Chappelle was attacked on stage at the Hollywood Bowl Tuesday night by a man who tackled him during his performance. First of all, I just want to say this. Netflix is a joke festival. If you're living in LA, it's absolutely everywhere. I was out of town first half, then I've been here for 2 days, and I'm going out of town for the second half. So I haven't really been here, but I know it's happening. It's humongous. I see it everywhere. So there's just different shows. There's little shows, there's medium-sized shows, and then there's humongous shows. And it's, what's so crazy is comedy is so huge right now. So absolutely insanely huge. John Mulaney sold out the Forum the same night Dave Chappelle and Friends was at the Hollywood Bowl. And Fluffy's got 2 shows at Dodger Stadium. Sold out. Like, it's insane. Like, the appetite for comedy has never been bigger. Comedy has never been more needed. Comedy has never been more expressed. People have been consuming it more. But apparently Dave Chappelle was attacked. Dave Chappelle was attacked. So comedian Dave Chappelle was attacked on stage at Hollywood Bowl tonight by a man who tackled him. Footage from Air 7 captured the apparent attack on stage. Witnesses at the show took to social media saying that the man rushed the stage and tackled Chappelle. According to ABC News, the man tussled on stage by the floor by a man away from the screen. Security staff surrounded and tackled the man in the corner. Chappelle appeared to run the occasion, saying that the man was being stomped. Okay. News is breaking as we're getting it. Okay. This could be a lot of things, so I'm going to start with the simplest things, and then I'm going to go down to the deeper things. Okay. First of all, the fact that there's so much footage of this show is crazy from people inside because it's a phone-free show. So I guess some people hid their phones on them or had an extra backup phone because people were filming stuff. But it's a yonder bag show. If you know what yonder bags are, you lock your phone up and then you pick it later. It's a phone-free show. So apparently they didn't do that all the way. Second of all, if the guy was deranged, that's one thing that you can't stop. If the guy was deranged. The next thing is, was he like a TikToker trying to do a dare or something like that? Okay, those are like the lighter issues. The guy went on stage, he couldn't even tackle. Like, he kind of missed Chappelle. Like, it was a weird-ass tackle. It was like a lame, like the guy didn't learn tackling in practice. Like, he went high and like bounced off Chappelle, which is weird. Chappelle didn't really flinch. But then the guy, if he had a gun and a knife, this is insane. So let me explain the last 3 incidents that I've seen with heckling. If the guy had a gun and a knife, and if it was for retaliation for jokes, then this is insane. Then it's actually getting really dicey out there. ABC News reported that he did. The New York Times did not report that. A lady from BuzzFeed was writing it, but she didn't say that either, but she might not have seen all this. Okay, so let me explain what's going on right now. What's happening in the world of comedy. Comedy has never been bigger. Comedy has never been more needed. Clubs have never been more robust. Partially from the pandemic, partially people want to enjoy themselves, partially the gathering of a live event because of the pandemic, and partially because of how polarized everything is. And people want to fucking laugh. They want to escape. They want to learn. People are mad at that, right? So what has social media done? Social media, Twitter, which is why I want Elon. I'm so glad he bought Twitter. And everybody who's mad that he bought Twitter is saying that, oh my God, he's saying for free speech, but it's hate speech. But it's not your job to decide what hate speech is. They don't allow racist things on Twitter. They never allowed it. Okay, they don't allow illegal sexist things on Twitter. I had ramen. They do allow misogynistic jokes. They do allow stuff like that. But at the end of the day, if it's not illegal, you can post it. And there's a lot of, they know what they allow on Twitter? A ton of fucking porn. A ton of fucking disgusting porn. And Twitter isn't blocked. A lot of people can see that fucking porn. That's insane to me. But this isn't about that. This is about social media, my belief is that social media has basically exposed how unfunny most of the world is. Because so many people getting offended by things that are being said, they couldn't lash back at somebody in the 80s or the 70s unless they were live at their performance. You could hear his album, but you could write a letter. What are you going to say to fucking Ben Vereen if he does a joke you don't like in the 70s? If you heard his album, man, if I ever get to Hollywood, I'm going to go after that Ben Vereen. I'm going to tell him something. No, you can't call Ben Vereen. You can maybe write a letter to Ben Vereen, get his fucking agent somewhere. Yeah, people get hate letters. That's what you had to do. You had to go, write down, take your anger and transfer it from the pen to pad, and then go to the post office, walk in, lick that shit, buy a stamp, wait in line, lick it, and fucking mail your hate. And hopefully in 2 weeks it got there. Well, now, in a lickety-split, if you see something you don't like from a comedian or entertainer, but let's just say comedian, you can go on fucking Twitter right now and say some nasty shit, right? Or fucking Instagram, or you can leave a video comment, or you can put on your YouTube, you can do essays, you can do all this stuff. But I see it in the clubs all the time, how people get fucking booty tickled over jokes, right? At the club, where you can't getting mad at people that fucking sweat on benches at the gym, or when they drop your weights. People drop weights at the gym. It happens. It's working out. It's where you get your muscles. So people try jokes at the gym. Sometimes you may not like them, but it's the gym. A comedy club is the gym. You get it? And people get mad. If you get offended at a joke at a comedy club, that's like going to Italy, sitting in a restaurant, ordering pasta, and say, "Is there olive oil in this? Hey, what the fuck, man? I got an allergy. I don't like olive oil." So that's the other thing. But let's talk about this. There's 3 incidences, including this one, that I can talk about recently. Obviously, it's Chris Rock, and it's a slap, and he was there tonight. Apparently, he joked about it, and they said it was Will Smith as a joke. My first thought was, somebody told me this joke. I didn't do it. Kyle came up with this joke. He goes, "Who had alopecia?" Did Will Smith set a horrible precedent, but it was almost like in the safety of this environment. It was a very violent slap. Like I said, it was a goat on a goat, and it was a horrible precedent. It was almost like MK Ultra, if you know what I'm saying. Those who know. Like, he was not himself in that moment. And Chris Rock was the bigger person. Unbelievable. But people don't talk about what else happened like a week before that. Mike Tyson was at some club. It's down here on Sunset. Mike Tyson's been going out to comedy clubs lately, right? Cool as fuck. He was at my show when I closed on a Sunday, a couple Sundays ago, and I wanted to talk to him, but I thought he left, and then when I went to find him, he did leave. He was in the club, in the corner, with his buddy, just at the Improv. And I guess a week after I saw him, he was at some club on Sunset. I don't know the name of it. Another comedian, Johnny Mitchell, played there and also had a terrible heckling experience. This guy wanted to meet Mike, and I don't know what happened. And people were like, "Yo, just chill out, whatever." And the guy went like this and lifted his shirt. You can put that video in, and showed him a gun. And Mike is so undefeated and so tough. He was like, and he hugged the guy. And I don't know what was said, but it looked like he was like, "Hey, man, we're cool. We just had a comedy show. Sorry, man. You want to meet me?" Completely unflinched. Completely unflinching. Hugged the guy with a gun. People were like kind of scattering. You can watch the video. And he diffused the situation brilliantly. And then, like a week later or 2 weeks later, that slap happened on the plane. And, they talked about it for a minute, but I haven't heard about it since. But they didn't talk about this story. They talked about the plane incident where he was completely egged on and some idiot wouldn't quit talking to him. And Mike's like, "Yo, just shut the fuck up." And then guy got a couple scratches and was done. That's insane. The guy showed a gun at like a small comedy show because he didn't get to meet Mike, okay? Chris Rock slapped Will Smith slapped Chris Rock on the biggest in television for the year, at the most glamorous that the media puts on. And now Dave Chappelle at the most holiest of places, the Bull. That is old Hollywood royalty. He's doing as his predecessors have. Richard Pryor played the Bull. Okay, so Dave Chappelle is following it up perfectly. Playing the Bull, picking the lineup, headlining a sold-out show at the Hollywood Bowl where the LA Philharmonic plays, where John Williams plays all the scores, like The Bowl. Like, it's legend. You look at old Bugs Bunny cartoons, The Bowl. It was like where Greta Garbo, and like, it's old Hollywood to now. It is, those are very hallowed walls. And I think he's played it a few times, quite frankly. I mean, this festival is huge. Larry David is playing the Greek. So Dave Chappelle goes on stage and gets attacked by a man. And apparently he did jokes about having to beef up his security because people were angry at some of his jokes. Like, if this is real and the guy had a knife and a gun, this is showing the pussification of our society. That a man and his mouth defeat you. And that you don't have the brains or the sarcasm or the wit to battle him back. That not only you can't go on Twitter and write to him, or not only you can't heckle him back, or not only you can just do a YouTube video and say, well, fuck this dude, this is how I feel about his shit. You have to attack him for doing jokes, trying to bring levity. And he brings education and understanding. I know a lot of people, some people don't agree with his jokes, but they're much more than jokes. They're a fucking slice of society through his vessel. And he says how he feels. And they're very, very, very hard to argue with. He comes in quite bulletproof, in my opinion. Literally made a fucking special called Sticks and Stones. May break my bones. You know the saying, like this is where we're at. Literally, people are resorting to violence to stifle live entertainment, specifically comedy, because you don't like the topics. I don't know what the truth is with this situation. We all know the Will Smith shit. I don't know how many of you guys knew about the Mike Tyson shit. The fact that the guy got into the Hollywood Bowl with a gun and a knife, the scanning is terrible, if that's true. If that's true. But I have to go and leave tomorrow to do comedy, and for the first time, and I feel fine, everything's fine. But and especially this place where I'm going. But for the first time, for like a microsecond, I was a little weirded out. I have never felt that in 31 years. I think Dave Chappelle said he started in 1987. I started in 1990, but really 1991. So I'm going to say really 31 years. It's been a little bit more than 31 years. I took a couple years break, but since I first touched the microphone, it was 31 years ago. Almost 32. But cumulatively, I've probably been doing comedy for 27, 28 years. Let's just say 30 years. I've done specials. I've done TV appearances. I've played every club. I've done a lot of festivals. Not this one. And for the first time, that was weird. Like, is this going to be a trend? And by the way, the guy looked fucked up. Like, his arm, oof. There's no winners in this situation. I mean, if Dave, he looks okay, so I'm glad he's good. I'm glad everybody's okay. If the guy was just a random crazy person, then he got over fucked up. If he had a gun and a knife, then he got what he deserved. But it's weird. Like, I'm not looking forward to doing my next live show. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to do it. But, like, I saw this girl today just walking in traffic. Beautiful. Probably 24 years old. Just had, only thing that fucked up with her was her shoes were like untied. She was just walking in traffic. Pretty. And I'm like, is that meth? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, I'm seeing people starting to lose it more and more. And like, this is a part of it. Like, people are losing their sense of reality. And they're just like, they don't understand like what moment they're in. But like, if you're trying to take down, comedy is more needed than it's ever been. It's more needed than it's ever been. That's why it's so popular. It's also so popular because it's so accessible. And obviously Netflix is the behemoth that's giving it to you. But for everything you watch on Netflix, there's 10 times that on YouTube and Tubi and tons of other stuff just coming out to you. And you can consume it on Snapchat, TikTok, and everywhere else. And there's, besides all the clubs and colleges, there's tons of places that are doing independent shows. Comedy is needed. So stifling it, it's more, comedy is your news. Comedy is your third eye to the bullshit of the world. But comedy is also your philosophy. It's what you believe. It's a contrarian view to say, hey, maybe what you want and believe may not be the truth. So we're going out of our way to tell you, hey, you know what? Here's my problem with that. Oh, marriage? Let me explain that to you. Oh, dating? Let me explain that to you. Race? Let me come over here with that. Sexuality? Gender? Sure, let's talk about it. I have a joke I'm working on because I have this whole thing with sexuality. Somebody was telling me they're a pansexual. I still didn't look it up. My joke was, what does that mean? You fuck a pan? Yo, bro, hold on a second. I'm going to fuck this soup pot. It's a joke. I don't mean, maybe it isn't. Maybe people do fuck pots. That's fine. But I'm allowed to joke about it. It gets a big laugh. Why? Because people think it's fucking funny. Why? Because the term pansexual is funny. You're like, this is new. It might have been around for 300 years, but we don't know what the fuck it means. Now it's all like, boom. And people are like, just accept it. It's new. Like people have been peeing in fucking bathrooms with beards for 30 years in the women's room. No, they haven't. Doesn't mean they shouldn't have been, but it's new. So we joke about it. We joke about everything. But if you're going to sit there and fucking start attacking comedians, like it's two ways. Like right now, I'm like all sensitivo because I'm tired and stuff. So I'd be like, fuck it. I don't need to fucking do it. Like I'll just take a little break. Or I'm going to fight harder and be like, fuck that. I'll come out. Probably that's what I'll be like. I'll probably be like that. I mean, I know I will be, but I actually think there's way more people that want comedy than don't. When you tear out a man's tongue, you're not proving him a liar. You're only telling the world you fear what he might say. Wow, George Martin said that. One of the greatest quotes in the history of quotes. Like, that's it. What are you scared of? These are just words. These are just thoughts. Are you scared of it empowering hateful people? Are you scared of, I fucking do a joke about Teletubbies. Are you scared about empowering a bunch of people to fucking become Teletubbies? Like, no, I get it. I get it how people can get the wrong idea with jokes. But it's not your job to police it, okay? Unless it's straight fucking hate speech. And this is where the line is. But that's not what Chappelle does. That's not what Chris Rock does. That's not what the guy was doing at the Mike Tyson show, where Mike Tyson was just a fucking watcher of the show. He was literally an audience member, and he had to diffuse a heckling situation. That's insane. Not only is that insane, that's a lot of pressure for an audience member. A gun and a knife. Look, everything that I was telling you is just basically what's being reported at the moment, so I don't know what else. Basically, the guy went up, did a terrible missed tackle on Chappelle. Chappelle's crew fucking beat his ass. The guy who left out with his shit was looking like a pretzel. Like, I feel bad for his socket. I hope his socket, but like I said, if he was just a stupid idiot, he learned a fucking lesson. If he had a gun and a knife, his shit should have been more twisted. This is insane. But the bigger question is, what are you going to do? What are you doing here? Why are you attacking comedians? Like I said, social media has shown you how unfunny most of people in the world are. And all these people fighting and crying about it, about Elon taking over Twitter, this is the reason. They're words. Deal with it. Deal with it. If you can't deal with it, then you're fucked. Okay? You're fucked. If you can't fucking let words not bury you. If words ruin you, then you're done. So don't try to shut up the wordsmith. Look inside yourself and going, what the fuck? I gotta fucking make myself stronger. I have to understand the law of otherwise. The law of otherwise is like, maybe that's not about me, okay? Not everything's about you. You don't have to take it so personally. Unfortunately, I think it's just gonna get worse. It's just gonna get worse, man. I think there's a whole new culture of people just wanting to fucking shut people up, and where they say, like, if you would go against like the COVID narrative or any stuff like that, that you're like a terrorist. If any of that shit becomes true, and then like that leads into like, basically that could lead into like, if you talk shit about the government, you're a low-key terrorist. And then they talk about debanking, like this is the conspiracy stuff, right? But like, basically if you say things that the powers that be don't like, Lenny Bruce was arrested for this shit. George Carlin couldn't say 7 fucking words. And now Chappelle, our living greatest comedian, potentially our greatest comedian of all time, playing the apex of places that you could play in the world. 3 Grammys, I think he has at least, Emmys, Kennedy Center Award, gets attacked by a man with a knife and a gun for saying things that you may not agree with. Scary times. The story is still developing, so we'll see.